Hi everyone, my name is Kristen and I'm the Education Coordinator here at Volunteers for Wildlife. I'm joined by my Center Supervisor, Lauren Schultz, behind the camera, and today we're spending a little time in our wildlife garden at Bailey Arboretum. We know that it's been a very challenging time for the members of the public that are cooped up and quarantined in their house. So today we wanted to do something a little bit special for you guys. We wanted to introduce you to one of our animal ambassadors. This is Orlando. Orlando is an 11-year-old Eastern Screech Owl. He came to our center in 2009 after he was confiscated by a member of the public and kept illegally as a pet. Unfortunately, during his time in captivity there, he became very tame around people, and unfortunately he didn't learn the necessary skills he needed to survive. So today I wanted to point out a couple of really interesting things about this species. As you can tell, Orlando is very, very small. A lot of people think since he's so small, he must be a baby, but actually he is fully grown. He's never going to get any bigger than this. People think he's the smallest species of owl we have in this area, but actually the smallest owl we have in this area is the northern saw-whet owl. The northern saw-whet owl comes up to about here on Orlando, just a little bit smaller than he is. And the smallest owl in the world is called the elf owl, and that comes up only about 5 inches, right to the top of his wing there, which is pretty cool. As we look at Orlando, there's a couple of things that jump out at us right away. First, maybe his color. So Orlando is one of 2 colorations that the Eastern Screech Owl comes in. We call these colorations morphs. So Orlando here is the red morph. Now at our center, he lives with our female Screech Owl, Duncan, who is the other color that the Screech Owl comes in. She is the gray morph. Now, the 2 colorations help them to blend into their environment. The word we use for this is camouflage. It helps them blend in better to different types of trees. If we get a close-up of his feathers here, we can see the pattern on his feathers really resemble tree bark. Now these guys are what we call cavity nesters. Now I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen those big old trees, and sometimes right in the middle of those trees there's a nice big hole, and that's exactly where owls like this like to live. So you can imagine when he's in his hole in his tree and he stands really still, you might not be able to see him at all. Now, one of the other things we notice here are these little things on top of his head. A lot of people think that those are owl ears. What they actually are feather tufts. And there's some debate back and forth about what their purpose actually is. Some people think that they're used for communication, like a cat or a dog, whether they're up or down. They could be communicating with other screech owls about danger in the area. Other people think they're used as part of that camouflage. So like I said, if he stands really, really still and he closes his big eyes and he has those feather tufts up in the air and he stands really still, he might look a little bit like a broken branch. It really breaks up that silhouette and you could hardly see him at all. So if those aren't his ears, then where are his ears? I'll tell you. If you see here, Orlando has a black line going around the perimeter of his face, okay? On that black line, okay, on either side, he has 2 ear openings, okay? There's no external ear like we have over here. Now, if I cut my ear like this, if I cut my ear like this, I'm able to hear better. It helps me to collect sound and it pushes it towards my ear. And that's what that black line is for. That black line is called the facial disc, and it's a collection of feathers around the owl's face that help to push and funnel sound toward those ear openings on each side of that line. Also, unlike our ears, they are not symmetrical, okay? They're not symmetrical. Owls have one ear that's slightly higher and one ear that's slightly lower. Now, this gives them a really good advantage for when they're hunting. They have excellent hearing, and the benefit of having one ear high and one ear low is that they're able to get a very accurate location on where sounds are coming from. Okay, they're able to triangulate exactly where a sound is coming from. If they hear a sound equal in both of their ears, they know that sound is coming from directly in front of them. Okay. Also, if we take a look at Orlando here, the other thing we notice are his big green eyes. Now, owl eyes are very, very interesting. Owl eyes take up 70% of their skull. That is an enormous amount, okay? If our eyes were 70% of our skull, they would be the size of grapefruits. They'd be absolutely enormous. Now, owls, as we see here, he's blinking a lot, but he doesn't have the ability to move our eyes. Now, if we all stand up straight and keep our eyes forward, our heads forward, we can look up and down and left and right because we have muscle that surrounds our eye. But owls don't have that. That massive eye doesn't leave any room for muscle around the eye, so the owl had to adapt in a different way. On the back of our neck here, we all have bones called our vertebrae, and we have 7 vertebrae, which allow us about 180-degree rotation from shoulder to shoulder. But owls, okay, they have 14 vertebrae, double the number of vertebrae that we have, which allows them a 270-degree rotation. So they're able to move their head all the way from over this shoulder all the way around to over this shoulder like that. Okay, they can keep their body perfectly still and swivel that head 270 degrees, giving them an excellent vantage point for finding their prey. Now, owls like this are part of the raptor family. Raptors are animals like eagles, owls, hawks, falcon, osprey, and that's just to name a few. Now, all raptors have certain qualities in common. They all have talons, which are the very sharp claws down on the bottom of the owl's foot, which they use for scooping up prey. Okay? They all have hooked beaks, and that's for tearing apart that prey. We like to think of the talons and the beak as the knife and the fork, okay, which helps them to eat. Also, they all have excellent eyesight, excellent hearing, and the last thing they all have in common is that they all eat live prey. These guys are phenomenal hunters. Very, very good. The last thing I want to say about the eyes is to point out that interesting color, that very vibrant green. It's like a greenish yellow. And this really tells us something about the time that this owl hunts. Now, owls are nocturnal, meaning they're active during the nighttime and they have a period of rest during the daytime. But this green color here tells us that this particular owl hunts at dusk and at dawn. Dusk and dawn, and the word for this is crepuscular. You can imagine if he was hunting right in the middle of the night with those bright green eyes, those might give him away a little bit, okay? So dusk and dawn for these guys. Well, I hope you had a good time learning a little bit about owls today. Again, I'm Kristen, that's Lauren, and this is Orlando. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you stay safe.